Hello, good evening, and welcome to the Sunday night live stream, where today I'm joined by a very special guest, the Queen of Reef, quite literally.
Woo!
Stephanie, how are you?
I'm great. I'm so excited to be on here. I come here, I try to catch this live stream as much as I can, and it's good fun to finally be on here.
Yeah, it's weird. So I've seen you commenting a couple of times, and I've picked up on that in a few times when you've been here. But every now and then, I'll watch it back the next day, and that's when I see you're there, and I'm like, oh, I didn't say hello.
Oh no, I love joining them. I love these live streams. They're quite fun. I'm happy to be on here. Very excited.
Excellent. Well, I'll tell you what. So there's a few things. We're just going to have a general chat, basically. But there's a couple of things that I do want to talk about specifically. But first off, I'll introduce you for the people who don't know who you are, which I suspect is not that many. So you are first off a hobbyist and also a YouTuber. So you make YouTube videos for the hobby. You have 11,000 subscribers, I think. Is that right? Or thereabouts. 10,900, which is pretty awesome. And you're based in Dallas, Texas.
Dallas, Texas,
yep. Which is very glamorous for this side of the pond, anyway. It's very much so. I think because Texas is kind of quite a cool place to live, and I think it's like getting more and more recognition over here. Anyway, I think people like before, if you think America, you think New York,
right?
Whereas now, I think more
Dallas
people think of it.
So many people are moving here in droves. Hopefully it brings more of the hobby here, though. That's the only issue.
Yeah. Okay. And I was trying to think how to describe you in terms of your YouTube channel. I think it's probably fair to say that I think you are probably the most charismatic YouTuber in the hobby. Do you think that's fair?
I think that's fair. No, no, I just like making silly videos. I guess that's why I started making this. I started my YouTube channels because I wasn't really seeing anything that, I don't know, like there's a lot of educational and then there's a lot of vlogging that make it educational. And then there was few kind of pointless. I wouldn't say my channel is pointless, but I feel like they're sillier than, they're less serious. You're not going to learn anything from my YouTube channel, I guess.
Well, I'm not sure about that. So you've done a load of aquascaping videos, right?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah. So maybe you can learn a little.
Yeah, for sure. And you learn something from everything. But like those in particular, it feels like you spent a lot of time researching that.
Oh yeah, no, I love aquascaping, and I guess I started those videos because you see a lot of, like in freshwater tanks, they put so much thought into their aquascaping and they use all those principles that I talked about, and they make, these complex things that I was always wondering what's the difference between freshwater and saltwater? Why can we never really expand on what we do in the reefing side of the aquarium hobby? And that's what I started thinking about. Why don't I apply these design principles to how it would work in reef tanks and just see how it turns out? And, as I was making the video, I kind of saw how they fit and how those rules would apply to the hobby. And there was so much fun. I love making those videos for sure.
Yeah. And they were really interesting. There was one thing, there's an Instagram page, I think it's like they make aquascapes. Got WL Marine, I think they're based in Korea.
WL Marine. Yeah. One of my favorite aquascapers ever. And I came across them on Instagram years ago, and nobody was following them. And I was like, how does the world not know about this guy? He's so talented. And then I reached out to them and asked if I could use their photos and videos and stuff in my footage. Really nice guy. And yeah, no, really talented. Take a lot of my inspiration from him.
It looks that kind of style, and I should probably have prepared his page so I could show people. but so I found about his Instagram page from one of your videos, and I don't know. I presume he wouldn't post to the UK, and if he did, they'd arrive in it'd be like gravel because they're all broken. But they're so awesome, and they're just
so cool, right? Yeah. I mean, I like that he does. You can always see that he challenges himself and does different styles over time, and I really like that. I really like that for him. He made a sphere once. I'd never seen that before, like a proper round sphere, and I thought that was so interesting. Obviously, it's not exactly the most practical thing, but from an artistic standpoint, I was like, that is so cool. So I really like his page.
Yeah.
You guys should give him a follow.
Yeah. So it's WL Marine, I think it was, wasn't it?
WL_Marine. Yes.
That's the one.
Yes.
So actually, I was going to ask you about YouTube and all that sort of stuff. So I'll come back onto that in a second. In fact, no, you know what? Let's talk about it now. Sorry. So you got into it because you thought there was there was a gap in the market effectively for your style.
And I just I love video editing. Like that's my thing. Like I adore video editing. So as I started doing it, I just had so much fun with it that I became just in love with the whole process. But mostly the video editing part. I love that.
Okay.
That's my favorite, which is usually like the opposite. It's totally the opposite from what you hear. Everybody likes recording, hates editing, and they usually like send out the editing for somebody else to do. But I'm like the opposite. If I'm not editing my videos, I don't want to make videos.
So I don't outsource the editing. I do it myself. But I think if I because I'm guessing it would cost money, and more to the point, people wouldn't do it. I'd be a control freak. I'd like, no, you need to do it exactly how I want it. Although they'd probably do it better than me, to be fair.
Go back and edit it again anyway.
Exactly. Yeah. But yeah, so that was kind of it was the editing that you really enjoyed first off, actually.
Yeah. And just like I liked how my videos had progressed over time, and like I went through these stages where I wasn't being myself and I was making videos that I thought other people would like to see when necessarily wasn't me, and just seeing, I guess, like my channel evolve over this period of time. And I haven't really been consistent over the years, over the 2 years. Like I haven't been consistent at all. So I don't actually have that many videos, but I feel like I improve with each one, and I like seeing that, you know.
What's kind of changed? What's about your style? But actually, do you know what? The one thing so there are a few things that you do that I really liked, and one of the things you've stopped doing recently. Comment time.
Comment time. I miss comment time too, but a huge drop off. Nobody would watch comment time. I was really hurt by that, but
because I thought that was brilliant.
You know, just like
I thought that was like a way of getting people to watch to the end.
Right? No. It had a total drop off. I was so hurt because I did love comment time, but I might bring it back in like a shortened version or something. But yeah, the way it's progressed is honestly. In so many ways, like my videos have changed over time, but I guess like the most impactful one is like that I'm okay with being myself and like talking about things I want to talk about, and just being myself when I'm talking on the microphone or like on camera. It's just like you kind of get caught up when you're making content in this like headspace where you're like, I'm just trying to make what I think people want to see, and tailoring like how you say things for that. And I ramble too much here, but I learned that like by being yourself, that's what people want to see. So learning to do that was the best thing for me.
It's difficult though, isn't it, to completely be yourself and just be just normal, but still be engaging and kind of bright. And
I think because it goes back to, you know, you create certain types of content that you think people will want because you don't want the criticism. But then if you are yourself, this is my theory. If you are yourself, you're like putting your real self out there. And if somebody criticizes that hurts more, you know. I think maybe that's why it's so difficult. But
yeah.
I don't receive any criticism since I've learned to be myself on camera. So
okay, that's interesting. So I find that generally, I think in our hobby, people are pretty friendly, and there's not as much criticism in this hobby as there might be in other hobbies. But that's not you've had a bit of a hard time sometimes.
Kinda. I feel like there's a lot of headbutting, and I don't know. I've had my fair share of, you know, negative comments, but take it in.
But the thing is, I've seen some of people like with negative comments on your videos, like saying that you've got aptasia and this sort of stuff, and it's like I don't get that, because like, well, everybody's got aptasia. Hang on, yeah. So so actually, do you know, so for the people who don't know, let me bring up your so there are two tanks that I want to show. I don't know if you've got both of them still, the nano and the main one.
No, I only have my 220.
Oh really? Okay.
Yeah, I had to take that one down because it was too much work trying to do both of them.
This is the 220 then.
This is the 220. Yes, as of
which
recently.
is, but yeah.
Most
And
recently.
that, so
Recently added
the thing that,
though, so
okay, so I was going to ask you about that because this, when you set this up, so for a start, that gonny, that red gonny at the back,
yes.
which is like behind your head, that
Yeah.
is just like so bright and vivid. It's just, is that just the color? Because it's hard to get color right, or is that actually how it looks in
No,
the flesh?
it's probably not that shade. It's more of a, I want to say it's more of a deeper red than in that. But man, white balance is hard to try to get the
Yeah.
white balance perfect. But it's a bit more like, it's got more of a magenta undertone to it, but it's still very bright. It's beautiful Gani. I love that thing. And it's grown so big. It's huge.
It's a big old. So Gonnies
Too.
are my nemesis. I just can't keep them. I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
I'm doing something wrong, but that was
sometimes they just don't like it, and there's no explanation. Honestly, like sometimes it's like that. They're so picky with spots too. It's almost like
right.
either
Okay.
love it or they die. Like that's
Okay.
no in between.
Well, you found the sweet spot for that one. But the other tank that I was talking about, the nano tank that you shut down, was this one.
Mm-hmm.
And this, I felt like
better than this, but yeah.
That, I mean, so I thought I've seen a couple of videos where you copped a bit of flack about this tank, and that I always thought that is like an awesome tank. Even if you get a bit of algae or aptasia or whatever, it's like that happens. It's like I never quite understood that.
And not everybody's showing that. I think that's the difference
too.
Is that you nobody's gonna rush and show their aptasia filled algae ridden tank on camera very quickly, but everybody goes through it at some point. It's just inevitable. With every tank you set up, you're gonna have this ugly stage of its life, and that's just the way it goes,
But because you do show that actually, and I find when I've got if I've got problems in my tank, it's not that I don't want to show it because I don't want to put it out there or whatever. But I find that it doesn't inspire me to video it. So like if there's something ugly, I don't want to record it. If something looks awesome, I want to record it as much for myself as anything. And then I'll find 6 months later, I want to talk about it and I haven't got any footage. And I'm thinking, well, why didn't I record any footage? But it's because it's like, I don't know, it doesn't get my creative juices going.
Yeah, no. And you don't want to look at your tank when it's like, when you're going through issues like that much anyway. You're not jumping to the idea. Yeah, I guess I just jump on anything I have new to document these days. I'm pretty bad with YouTube ideas. So if there's something bad, I'm like, ooh, okay, yay. I have content for this week.
But there was one thing with your tank. So this, the 220, the water box behind you, that's 7 foot, is it? 7 foot long? That's a big tank. I like that a lot. So that's
big.
When you set out at the start, you said that was going to be SPS corals everywhere.
Yeah.
What's going with that?
So it started off, I wanted to be like SPS dominant, but then I realized that I really have a sweet spot for LPS as well. So I couldn't give it up completely. So I decided just to go mixed and do both. So the remaining parts I have left, you can't really see behind me, but the leftover branches, like right there, I want to put like SPS. Just everything else that remains blank, I guess, is just for acros, because I'm obsessed with acros now. Like that's like all I see. That's all I think about. Like they just make my life. And like I just added some. I added 5 new acros. One like being a big colony, which is so exciting. And they're doing so well. So it's like, it's very encouraging that my tank's ready again to get them started. Because I did have SPS in there at one point, but then back-to-back issues happened, and then I moved my tank. So they didn't fare well. So that's starting over now.
But there was a Prestige Reef did a video this afternoon that was about, he was talking about whether you're setting up your tank that's the right tank for you, or if you're doing it because you think it's what other people like. And he was talking about, so I'm really glad you said that you love LPS so much that you just like, you're going with it rather than going, you know what, I feel like I should do this and get SPS or Aquapor or whatever.
I just can't give up. And I like the one thing that I don't really like about SPS is like when they're just SPS tanks, they're so still. You have to have a lot of fish to add some movement, to add something interesting. But that's why I like mixed reefs the most, because you have a balance of both, and it's just like they complement each other, and it just looks, they're more difficult, granted, but I feel like it's much more rewarding when it goes right, because it's just more visually pleasant, at least to me, that is.
For sure. And also and the other thing Prestige Reef was saying was that if it's like a non-hobbyist, they'll come in and they'll see all this wavy like torches and that, and it's like,
Oh yeah. Oh no, they love it. They love the wavy stuff. They'll think the Duncan is like the coolest thing.
huh? Yeah.
That's that one's cool. But mine's grown so big now, it almost is starting to look like a torch. It's like that.
No, really?
Yeah, it's crazy. So cool. Very happy,
very
Duncan.
Cool. So I've just set up, it's only a nano, it's a Fluval Evo, the little 13.5 gallon one. But the plan is for that to be LPS only, because I just want, my LPS don't do well in my main tank because it's just got such strong light. So I want just like LPS glowing like under blue lights, proper.
Right. Have something that they'll really like. I got one of those like very small tanks, like 1 gallon tanks.
1 gallon. Okay.
And that's gonna be fun because I saw it and it's just so cute. It's like, I don't know if you've seen them. They have like a mini sump.
Like I've got this is a quarter of a gallon sump tank there.
Yeah, you did set one up. Yes. I saw that actually. I totally forgot. Yeah, no, just like that. And I'm so excited about it. They're so cute. The little sump. It's like most adorable thing you've ever seen.
See, this was like a cheap Chinese one from eBay or something. But like the ones that I've seen that are a bit nicer, they're quite expensive, but they've got like a see-through pane, so you can actually see the sump.
Yeah. That's the one I got. It's really cute. It's just adorable. I don't know what I'm going to put in it or what kind of rock I'm going to put in it. It's so small.
No. Do you know what I'm finding? I'm not getting any real algae. A couple of little bits of stringy algae, but it's not doing too bad. It's only like, I don't know, 3 months old, but it's not. It's doing all right. I wondered if I might just end up with like dinoflagellates everywhere and hair algae, but it's doing all right. So.
And do the little water change with the droppers. Oh. So
do you know, that was the plan originally. I bought these syringes just to do water changes, but then I found it was just a pain. So now what I do is I just pour the sump away and then fill the sump up.
So that makes sense.
Yeah. But
more sense.
It was good.
So cute though. I can't wait to set it up.
And you said so. I can't remember if we were. I think we were talking before we started the stream. So you got into the hobby. How did you get into the hobby?
So I got into the hobby because when I was an undergrad, I had my dorm roommate. She said, "Let's get a goldfish." And I was like, "Yes, let's get a goldfish." But we were under the impression that goldfish live in bowls, like the typical misconception. I stayed up all night researching freshwater fish, learned everything learned about freshwater fish, goldfish keeping, whatever. Went to the store the next day, got myself a little setup. And at that store, I saw saltwater. And when I was a kid, my parents took me to the aquarium. And I remember pointing at the reef tank and going, I'm going to have one like that in my house when I'm grown up. My mom was like, there's no way. That's difficult. Only marine biologists can keep that. And I was like, I don't know. It always stuck with me. I had an interest in it. So when I saw them at the saltwater side at the store, I was like really just envious and like hooked on the idea that one day I'm going to have one. And so for the next year, I became obsessed. I was dead set that I would keep a reef tank. And I would research 4 or 5 hours every day, sometimes 6. I would stay up all night just reading and learning because I wanted to keep a reef tank. Finally, my family went crazy hearing me talk about this so much and everything. They were like, just get the tank already. And I got this little BioCube, 29 gallon. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
This little all-in-one thing. And really, it was because I found another fish store that specialized in saltwater only, and they really pushed me to finally take the step as well. And like they guided me through all of those newbie trials and errors. So it was good. I started about 6 years ago, so that was quite a while.
Was it partly your mum telling you can't do it?
I think there's something about people telling me I can't do it.
I'll show you.
I'm gonna prove you wrong. She still can't believe that I've stuck it out this long, because I'm not I don't really have a tendency to keep hobbies for,
Oh, really?
them, so.
But this comes, it becomes an addiction, doesn't it?
Oh, it's seriously an addiction.
Yeah.
I had no idea walking into this what this would have escalated. That my dorm roommate, I always tell her, "You changed my life. Like you took me a different trajectory." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So funny how things work out like that. The irony.
That's cool.
A goldfish.
Yeah, exactly. That's where it starts.
Yeah.
But so what, like, so because your tank is looking really healthy at the moment, and well, actually, first off, how old is it? The one behind you.
So prior to the tank move, I had it set up for a year and a half, and then now it's been another maybe like five-ish months.
Okay.
2 years. 2 years. It's finally like all the core line is finally growing in on the new aquascape, and it's looking like it's reaching that like stage of proper maturity. I don't know. It's just like, one day your tank just switches and then everything grows really fast and looks really beautiful. It's like the ugly stage is kind of weaned out. Yeah, I'm in that stage now and I'm super excited. But I also know it means that my tank is going to fill out and like be finished within like next 6 months. So
that's when you take something out and then you replace it with something else, and then you do that all over the tank. And
True. Because I was thinking, man, if I'm filling up a 220 this fast, what's the next tank size? 1,000 gallons? I mean, I don't have room for that, So I gotta slow down.
It sounds like you've thought about it, though, to be fair.
Oh yeah, I mean, because I have a tendency that once it starts filling out like this, I start planning the next build. So by that time this one's finished, I'm ready to transition to my next one. But this one, I don't know, I can't fit anything larger in this house, so.
No, okay. Well, that's my problem. Mine's 4 foot by 2 foot, and I can't fit anything larger. I've already reached the limit. But
yeah,
7 foot's a good size, to be fair.
Yeah.
I don't know. There were a couple of questions. So there's one of my members posted a question, and I'm just trying to find it because I've been an amateur and I closed down the tab that I was looking at. So I'm going to fill and talk whilst I'm finding it. I found it. It's all right. We're here. And this is from BN3 Reefing, who says, which moment did your interest in the hobby begin? And I think that's basically like it's talking about, because you started about like all the goldfish. I think that's what the question is. Was there like one thing that triggered you, like one fish or one coral or a tank or whatever?
I can't say that it was one. So what started the interest was just seeing the whole saltwater side, just to see that saltwater in your home was an option. That kind of really sparked it. But then what pushed me over the edge to actually get the tank after like a year of researching was finally seeing like beautiful colonies of coral, like healthy, beautiful colonies of coral at this other store that I had popped into randomly. That was really just, I got to actually start this and do this because I want to keep coral. So I jumped into keeping coral from the start. And yeah, that's what got me into it.
Yeah, you got hooked from there. And there's another question. So I'm trying to kind of do two things at once and keep up with the chat, but I'm failing miserably. Although I am getting abuse because the Ocean Project says that you can hear me pouring my beer, which I know I wasn't being very subtle. But Polo, do you know Andrew Sandler?
Yes, I do.
Yes. Yeah. So he asked how you became the queen.
I was born the queen. No.
Yeah.
Funny story behind my name. Well, not really funny. I didn't know that there was a community I didn't know there was a community surrounding this at all when I started this hobby. And I just didn't want to annoy my Facebook friends with posting all of these pictures of my reef tank every single day to people who didn't care. So I was like, oh, let me make an Instagram and like, if they want to check it out, they can check it out, whatever, And then I was like, something catchy, Queen of Reef. And now it just like haunts me because it sounds a bit pompous, but it sounds a bit, but I just go with it now. It's kind of funny. I kind of see it as ironic because.
Fair enough. But you mentioned earlier, like that you started doing videos that you found that you wanted to do videos you liked doing, and you were trying to do before you were trying to do videos that you think other people were like. And I've gone through the exact same thing myself. It's probably something that everyone goes through. But what kind of is there like a content you enjoy doing the most, and also something you least enjoy doing?
Like types of videos,
Yeah,
like topics, I guess.
topics or yeah.
So right now I'm really enjoying anything voiceover because I realize that I can
Okay.
talk and talk and talk and talk on a microphone forever. And it takes, I will sit there and talk for 30 minutes and then have to try to cut it down. Just talking to myself, no big deal. But I found that those are my favorite right now. So any kind of like tank updates of that sort. So that's all I've been really posting recently. My least favorite is probably just being anything educational. Absolutely
Oh, really?
anything educational. Teaching you how to do anything is just not me. I hate it. I'm not a teacher. I'm not good at teaching. Like I can't have that serious. It's not enjoyable for me. So it's not good for the
Okay.
SEO, but hey.
No, okay. It's funny because the videos that I think, so those the ones that I've enjoyed most on your channel were, obviously all of them, obviously, but like in particular the aquascaping videos. They were
Oh, like
just
I'm not meaning those. I'm meaning like
okay.
anything like where on the camera teaching you something.
Oh, I
Those
see what you mean. Yeah,
aquascaping
yeah, yeah.
videos were cool to make, actually.
They
But
were
it's because
awesome.
I
Yeah.
wasn't on camera, if that makes sense. Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. So, and what is there something that you don't like about being on camera, or?
I think it's just like when you're doing it all the time, you're used to it and it's fine. But when you don't go on camera for a while, you like, I tend to be more, it takes me a longer time to warm up, I guess, and be myself on camera. Like I'm very
Yeah.
awkward and very like uncomfortable. And you can see that through the camera. So unless you're recording all the time, and you're really used to it, it's just like a really difficult process to get warmed up. Versus like if I bust out a microphone, I can start talking for like
Okay.
days with
There's something weird about when you turn on a camera, like you can just be talking about something really just openly and naturally, and then you turn on a camera, suddenly it changes, and I don't know what it
right,
is. There's
right,
no one else in the room, nothing else has changed. It's just
right.
you can just see your picture on the screen, and
Yeah.
it's like suddenly it's different.
All this pressure all of a sudden. Like I don't
It's
know. Like
weird.
uh I don't like it. I mean, I want to start being on my videos again. Like that's my goal moving
Okay.
forward. So
All right, and you've done a couple of live streams in the past, but not many. And is that something that do you hate them, or do you plan
no,
on
I
doing them?
love live
Oh,
streams.
really?
I love them. I'm very scared of like my camera and my microphone messing up or something like that. You know, I was having issues earlier with that and it was scary, but I can talk for hours. So live streams would be like the most ideal thing for me, I think.
Yeah. Okay.
Could
It's
find a way
yeah,
to incorporate that.
yeah.
But
And you
I
talked
don't
about kind of.
stop.
Go on, sorry.
Oh, sorry. I just said I don't think I would stop talking. I think it'd be like a
Huh?
5-6 hour long thing if I lose
Okay.
track of time.
But so do you know what? With you talked about like technical issues and that sort of stuff, and I've had technical issues recently, and a few times. And there's been times like my battery dies on my camera, or the microphone won't work, or it's too loud, or it's too quiet, and all this sort of stuff. And it's so frustrating. But I think it's something you've just got to go through,
Right.
and be okay with it. Because I watch so many other live streams as well where people have the same issues. There are some who don't. So like Keith, Reef Bum, and Reef Dudes, they're just like they're pros. They've got it nailed down.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But for the rest of us, it's like there's always some problem.
Yeah.
What else was I going to ask you? Oh yeah, so do you use Calcwasser?
I want to.
You want to?
I
Okay.
really want to start using Calcosser. This is like number one on my list because I have been chasing pH recently and paying attention to that more. And that's definitely something I want to start dosing. I decided against putting in my auto top off because of the inconsistencies of it with the water evaporation.
Okay. Yeah.
But I want to get a reactor. That's like my first next thing to do with my tank is to start getting it on Calcwasser because I know how beneficial it is and how great and fast your corals grow. Not that I really need that, but how solid it is when you get that pH in check.
Yeah. So
Balance.
this is all the theory. This is everybody said, and all this makes perfect sense. But I'm kind of I'm interested to see myself, and I'm interested to talk to people who are doing it and see what actual difference it makes. Because it's all well and good saying, high pH is better for X, Y, and Z reasons, but like seeing is believing. So I always want to know, I always want to
Oh
see
yeah.
what different. But also like with growth, there comes a point when growth is like a pain. It's a bad thing.
It depends what your goals are. Yeah. Like I'm not trying to fill up my tank like to the brim overnight, but at the same time, I would like to frag out my corals and like begin to sell them and stuff like that, and be a part of that because I think that's fun, like trading with people and stuff. So it is kind of something I'm thinking about, but it's just like it's another layer of stability with your pH that just makes everything happier and healthier,
Yeah. And so if you were to sell corals, is that just kind of locally, or would you start up your own website, or
locally? Like I would never be like a vendor of any sort. No,
Okay.
I would just sell locally and like trade with people. I think that more than selling is what it excites me, is that like I get to get pieces that I really, really want just because somebody really, really wants something I have, so
Yeah.
I like that aspect of it, especially because I have so much of a lot of things. Like I have so much of that Holy Grail torch. It's just ridiculous. And then if I don't like, it's so like aquaculture now that if I frag it and I don't sell it within a few days, by the end of the week, it'll be split again. So nobody's going to want to buy 2 heads of that. So it's like, gotta cut another one. And then I end up with a billion little mini colonies of it. It's a really good coral though.
That's a nice problem to have, to be fair.
It's a good one. It's a good one, this torch. I love that thing.
Sammy asks, Sammy31D asks, what are you dosing if you're not dosing calc? So 2 parts.
So I just dose, 2-part, and yeah, the ESV. I was using ESV for a long time, but now I'm just using Red Sea.
ESV? What? I've not heard of that. Is that like just a 2-part thing? Must be an American thing.
Bionic. Here, I have it right here. This stuff.
Oh yeah, you know what? I don't think we get that over here, but I've seen.
Oh really? That's good stuff. Yeah. I like this stuff. Yeah, it's real good.
Okay.
But now I've been using Red Sea just because it's like convenient to me, and I have the big tubs of it. I go through a lot on this tank.
Really? Okay. Well, it's a big tank, I guess. There's quite a lot of corals. So.
Oh, and it's like I don't even have like proper like tons of SPS in here. I can't even imagine like once I have like colonies, like how the consumption rate. I don't know how I'm going to deal with that. It's going to be ridiculous, but in an exciting way.
Good, ridiculous. Okay, fair enough. So like the one thing that I always see with your tank is your colors are just amazing. Like that Gonny in particular, it blows my mind. And also like the torches as well. So what are you doing? What's your secret? You're pouring in some kind of bottle of something, aren't you? What is it?
Actually, it's something I've had an issue with fairly recently because my nutrients dropped, which is
right. Okay,
not good. But I'm trying to bring them up slowly. But basically, yeah, keeping my nutrients up. And torches, it's a misconception. People tend to put them low in their tanks, or low like medium. Torches love highlight. I put them right there. If you can see I have 2 torch colonies. The one that's lower is more colored up than this guy was because this guy was in the shadows, right? So I put him at the very tip of my aquascape, very tip top, so he can color up just as much as the other one. And that's something I get complimented on a lot, is the color of those Holy Grails. So I show people like that's the difference. Like putting it up super high. Torches always stay in my tanks.
So that you had that exact coral low or shaded and it wasn't looking as good.
I'm sorry. Oh yeah. Initially it was like shaded. It was like the neglected colony of the Holy Grail torch. But I put it up there at the very top, and now it's starting to color up like even brighter than the other one. They love high light, high flow. Just like SPS, I put them on par with my acros. Every time. It's the difference with the torches for sure. But of course you have to gradually acclimate them,
Right.
And it depends on the torch. I don't want to have any people get angry at me because their torches
bleach their torches because they put it too high.
Yeah.
So this is my local, oh well, not my local fisher, but a local fish up near me, the Ocean Project. And Sean knows. Sean is excellent. He's really experienced, and 250 par for torches, which that's quite high. Like for LPS, you want probably half that normally. So he reckons quite high. I reckon if yours is that high up, yours is probably even higher. Maybe. Do you know? Have you tested your par?
I have not, and that's something I really, really want to do. And I know it's like irresponsible to not do that, but
well, I don't think so irresponsible. It's like it's
nice
good to do it, but it's
right. But I generally know like how the light hits where and where the corals are best suited, because I have a feel for my aquascape now. But yeah, no, they're getting it right there. I mean, there's not much water above them even.
Okay.
But they're very happy.
What are your nutrient levels? You said they dropped a little bit. What are your nitrogen?
They dropped. So they almost bottomed out completely. So I had to start changing things up, obviously, because I lost a lot of fish after the move. I had the move itself, and then a heater malfunctioning twice, killed off my anthias and my blue tang. So sad. But that messed up with my bioload because I already don't have that many fish, So my nutrients dropped like crazy after that. And so now I've just been feeding multiple times a day, like 4 or 5 times a day, flake food, and started dosing the fuel.
Aquavitro.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which
Okay.
I've made my tank generally makes it like water.
Wait, did you start doing that recently?
Yes.
Did you start doing? Because I tried that because Than from Tidal Gardens talked about it. Was that what got you as well?
No. I've been using it for years, just like
Right.
on and off, because like it does make my water a bit more dirtier, and sometimes I didn't need that, and like I kind of took it back a bit, but yeah, I think it does wonders. Like I'm already seeing a huge difference. Very happy corals.
Right. Okay.
I love that.
So do you feed apart from like aminos or whatever? Do you actually put like coral food in or anything else?
Yeah. I put that in fish food several times a day. I don't target feed or anything, but I do my best. I just really need fish, honestly.
Yeah. Okay.
There's only so much you can do. Like I can't be glued to my tank like this all day, every day. I need to get some more fish. That's so true.
Okay. So you must have a job like day to day.
So I just graduated from law school, and
oh, cool. Yeah, of course. Yeah, I think you said
taking a few months off just to like unwind my brain, and then in February I'm taking the bar exam. So I'm gonna go, disappear, make a little disappearing act for a few months around that time, so I can pass the bar and then be done. Finally.
So how does it? Because I qualified as a lawyer over here, and I think it's slightly differently. So you do your degree, and then you pass the bar. What does that mean? Is that just another? Do you have to do practical work, or is it more exams? Or
no? So for law school, you have to do your undergraduate degree, and then you have to do entrance exam, LSATs, law school, and an exit exam, which is your bar exam. Bar exam is to be licensed.
Okay.
To practice. Yeah. So I can't practice law right now.
But when you've passed the bar, you'll be able to practice law straight.
Bar, you can practice law, any kind of law.
What have you got an area you want to go into?
The first job that will hire me. No.
Anything.
But I was wanting to get into appellate law, either civil or criminal. Okay. I love to write, so that's pretty much all my talent lies in that. So I would love to do appellate law. But,
right. Okay. Yeah. Interesting stuff. Fine. Okay. Yeah. Good stuff. Well, that's boring for everybody else, but it's interesting for me. So, but we'll move on. So we talked as well earlier about before the stream about coral shows. So in the UK, there aren't really any coral shows. There was one called Coral Freaks, before COVID, a year before COVID, I think, or the year before COVID, and there was about 300 people, 400 people, maybe, not many. It was really good. But it was very low key compared to even I saw recently Reef stock in Australia. and it's just like 10 times the size of what we have over here. And all that you guys have so many shows, and you were saying there's basically one a month.
Basically one a month. I can't even keep up with them. I used to go to like every single one, but now it's just impossible. There are 2 this month, like a week apart, like a week in between. Like there's a lot of them now. So
but
it's
people
nice
like travel a long time, don't they? So like in the UK, if we're not really into, it's weird, it's a small country, but people don't like to travel. But in the States, you think nothing of jumping on a plane for 4 hours to get the other side.
But like at these coral shows, the vendors, they drive like across America. Like they go, and they were like not phased by like a 2-day like nonstop road trip. And I'm just
with
like
corals in the back.
With corals, yeah. And I'm like, are y'all crazy? Like I can't even road trip for like 8 hours straight, let alone 2 days straight. Whew. And they do this like once a month at least, twice a month sometimes. Crazy. But they're good fun. You should definitely come down to one day, you know, if you're ever visiting in the US, because it's truly great to see everybody you know online, and then seeing all of the stuff and the corals and the equipment. And my favorite is the people. I love meeting all of the people in the hobby, and I've made such great friends at these shows. So I try to go to as many as I can. You know?
Yes, I'll go to one at some point. I'd love to go, but so Prestige Reef talks about, he went to, there's one in Vegas. Macna was it? Yeah. Oh, yeah, because he was talking about your skimmer tattoo. You got your skimmer tattoo there, right?
Yeah, it was a Vegas Macna. Okay, there's actually a funny story behind that. Somebody who was following me messaged me, and she was like this old lady, like this, you wouldn't expect it, but she starts writing to me, and she's writing in all this kind of funny slang. It was cute. And then she's like, we should get matching tattoos. We should get something crazy. Like we should get a dirty skimmer. And I just laughed so hard because I was like, that's hilarious. A dirty skimmer tattoo. Like that's hilarious. And I told my friends this at Macna in Vegas. And Vegas were like, let's do it. It's Vegas. And yeah, but I love it. I think it's hilarious. And it's like, you have to know the hobby to know, you know, I don't know.
Yeah.
Better than a clownfish, I guess. I don't know.
It's very true,
Yeah, it's more
unique. Yeah. I like that it was
a real hobbyist, okay.
I like that it was a crazy old lady as well, or maybe crazy is the wrong word, sorry, but
no, a very, very obscure old lady.
Eccentric.
Yeah. I wish I could find her, but I sent her a picture of the tattoo. I was like, it's your turn now. She never responded. So
no, I bet. She was like, oh my God, I've got to do this.
She was like, oh man, this girl's crazy.
Suddenly this got real. But yeah, because so like all that, like the other thing that like at Macna, Ryan said that he met all the YouTubers and talked to all that sort of stuff, and because I think it's a much bigger. It's much bigger in the States, obviously, as everything is really. So there aren't that many over here. But I guess, I mean, you must be miles away from most of the YouTubers, though. Or are there people close to you?
There are some freshwater YouTubers that live like 45 minutes away from me, but that's about it.
Okay.
Like Texas is a very vast place. But that's why it's like good. If they ever go to these shows, like if they ever travel to say Florida, there's a lot more other YouTubers there in Florida that would be able to make a video. So you kind of have to figure something out like that. But in Texas, it's just everything's too far away from each other. And the stores too, there's just few stores. I mean, there are stores, but they're just, you know, it's not like condensed, like say in Florida or something, you know.
Right, okay. Because Texas is, I don't know how big it is compared to the UK, but I bet it's a similar size. Now, I've looked up the population. It's roughly half the size of the UK. I mean, a bit smaller, but it's like, that's our entire country in like one state.
Yeah, it's huge. Texas is huge. So yeah. It seems like most of the hobby is in Houston, actually. Houston has
really?
Yeah, for some reason.
Okay. So I've got no idea where Dallas is and Houston is and Austin. I've no idea. It's like Texas is Texas to me.
Yeah.
And Prestige Reef says Vegas was the best show he's been to. There was something different about the atmosphere.
I think too. And I think it was because it was in Vegas. There's something about it, like it's the oxygen they pump into those casinos
Okay.
that we were hanging out in. I swear it was so much fun. You know, you have so much energy. It was
Yeah,
a
yeah.
good show. I wish they would do that every year, like one in Vegas, just to say, you know.
Oh, does it not happen? It's like a occasional thing, is it?
Magna only does, they do a different city every year.
Right. Okay.
I don't think they've repeated one yet. So, or they've repeated it, sorry, 4 times, I think. But it's rare. Like they don't,
Right.
which is a shame because there should definitely be a Vegas show.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And I'm being told by a guy in Lancashire, it's north of the UK, that Texas is 3 times the size of the UK, which is mad. But not that many stores. So there's not really many like local fish shops.
Not all that many. And I mean, there are 3 that I can drive to from where I live. But it's like there's still quite a bit of a drive, and sometimes I don't know. It's not like what they have in Florida. Like it's not like what they have in other states, you know, where it's easier to get corals. Like California and Florida are the best places to live in the States for this hobby, for sure. They get the best pick of corals. They have, you know, the most stores and stuff. So, but we have a lot of hobbyists here in this area. So that's nice. You can always trade with them. You know, you don't need a store. Who needs a store anyway?
Yeah, we've got an idea for a show. Oh, that was the wrong one. Sorry, Vegas Palooza.
Vegas Palooza. Let's do it. I'm ready.
I like it.
That would be fun. I like Vegas.
Yeah, and so like Vegas is like a bucket list place to go as well. It would be pretty awesome to go. To be fair,
it's so much fun. That was like my first time, and it was just the best.
All right, and because the other thing you have like in the States, you guys have power cuts. I think more than we have over here. Like in the UK, every 5 years maybe we'll get a power cut, and it's for a couple of hours at worst, or normally like a couple of minutes. Yeah, power outage. Sorry, yeah. So, but you had a bad one, didn't you? Like 3 days or something.
No, no. So we never had power outages. I lived like 5 minutes away from where I live right now when this happened. But back then at that house, I had no power outages whatsoever, like for years, like many, many, many years, not one. And then all of a sudden they said that on the news, they were like, this big storm's approaching, this big winter storm, you know, get ready. But we were kind of like, well, you know, there's not much we can do, whatever. But I would have never thought the power would have gone out for a week.
Oh, really? For a week.
And our houses are not insulated. Like it was so cold inside that we made some food. Luckily, I had a gas stove and a gas fireplace. Otherwise, you know, and a generator, which I just kept solely on the Reef tank. But the water would freeze, and like a pot were boiling after leaving it, you know, like everything would just freeze instantly, all the waters, you know. It was so cold inside. It was the weirdest experience I've ever been through. Luckily, I had that generator because I never would have thought that I'd need to use it. It was just kind of a why not have it kind of thing. Okay. And it turned out to save my entire tank. I had no losses from that storm. And that's all my friends lost almost everything, thousands of dollars, you know. It was such a scary experience to go through as well, because I remember even though I had the generator, our generator ran out of gas. So we had to trek, but then 3 gas stations were closed. The other 2 were out of gas. We were the final gas station before there was no other gas stations within driving distance for safety purposes, right? It was on the last 10%. So there were 15 minutes left of gas. And so we had to stock up on gas, and luckily it was enough to ride out the rest of the storm. But had that not happened, I would have had every single thing die. Like that, so close within the span of 15 minutes. Like I could have had everything die. It was just horrible experience. And like during the time, like it was weird because it changes the way you think, like when you're in that kind of situation. All you think is like, you kind of think like a caveman, it's like food, water, make
Fish
sure
tank.
gas is in generator for fish tank, food, water, gas and generator for fish tank. You just don't think, you just think of like survival mode. Like it was just
Yeah.
a thing. And then after it all ended and the power went on, it was like, you're jumped back into reality where you're not in like survival mode and you're like, what was that? So it was a weird experience. And I think the weather's just changing here in Texas because it never used to snow here. After that winter storm last winter, we had freezes. So they weren't like anything in comparison to what we went through that time. But we had like small scale freezes where we couldn't leave the house for 3 or 4 days.
Oh, really?
That happened 4 times, and that's like never happened before. I think the weather's changing. I think it's just going to start snowing in Texas now, which I'm not.
So it's been so weird, like over in the UK recently. So obviously it doesn't get hot here ever. Yeah. But so we had a couple of weeks ago, it was the hottest temperature in the history of the country. It got to 40 degrees centigrade, which is, so today was 34, which is like 93 Fahrenheit.
Yeah.
And that's just, and like it's ridiculous. And we because we're not set up for it. Like the country
and the AC, it's not like you have AC like we do here. No. It's fully established everywhere now.
I've got a fan here, and that's like that's as good as it gets. But so do you get, so because like we have proper winters, like it's cold every year for like 3 or 4 months. Do you not get that at all in Texas?
We do not get proper winters. There's not snow. There's not typically, like in the past, it used to be maybe like every 4 years we'd get a dusting of snow. But now it's like we get a dusting like 4 or 5 times in one winter, but it doesn't snow, and it gets cold enough where it could potentially snow, but it doesn't. So I don't know.
I kind of feel like when you had the power cut, it feels like you were prioritizing your tank with the generator. Is that right?
Oh, 100%. Oh yeah.
Nothing else matters.
Oh, nothing else mattered. No. And I had a quarantine set up at that time. Luckily, my fish were on the like last stage of quarantine, so I could just kind of put them quickly in a separate bowl, like a separate like canister thing, and make holes in it, and then put that in the tank, so I didn't have to run 2 tanks.
Okay.
And this was when I had my 40 gallon, so I didn't have a 220. If I had a 220 now, I don't think that generator would have kept up. I mean, I don't.
No. Okay.
I have to rethink about what I'm going to do now with this bigger tank, because this is a whole different beast to keep warm than that 40 gallon was, and that felt difficult. And the level of water that evaporates, geez, you don't even think about this stuff. Like, I was so lucky that I had, by chance, filled up every single RDI bucket I had full of water before, for no good reason, just because.
Yeah, just because.
And that came in handy, because that was another issue people went through. Even if they had a generator, they were running out of water, to top off their tanks, because of all the evaporation from the cold. Oh, truly a nightmare. So, but it did make me realize that nothing matters as much as emergency equipment, because you might only need it once, but that once is everything. So it's the most important. It's just as important as having lights in your reef tank. Like, I feel like if you're going to do a setup like this, you better have a generator, because
if you didn't have that week would have just been, I mean, it must have been tough anyway.
But everything die. Yeah.
You'd be watching it in front of your eyes and nothing you can do. It would have been genuinely heartbreaking. It would have been awful, wouldn't it?
Yeah. And that happened to almost everybody I know. Even people who sell corals near here. They lost like $50,000 worth of coral, like from that storm.
That's hard to come back from as well.
Vendors, but still, like, it's like, yikes. That's horrible. I don't know. It was a really horrible storm. I really hope that never happens again.
No, I know. Yeah, it looked awful. I felt for you, but so this is so. There are a couple of things I want to talk about. So we talked about your some of your corals, and your corals generally are looking pretty awesome. So where do you get your corals from? Is it kind of all over, or online, or local fish shops?
So kind of all over, mostly from my friends, doing trades or, them giving me corals, so that's mostly how I gathered things. There are a few corals that I've had since I first started the hobby that are
Oh,
huge
really?
now. Like my bubble coral there
Bubblezilla, yeah.
was one of the bubble monster was
Yeah,
one of
yeah,
the
yeah.
first corals I ever added. I think like the third coral I ever added. That Duncan I've had forever. But a lot of these things have just been gifted to me or traded over time from friends. Um, yeah,
A
yeah.
few places, but yeah, okay.
Few
But
few
so,
stores too.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And
Um,
have you got like a favorite store?
I don't have a favorite. It's hard to pick a favorite because like every store I feel like specializes in their own like thing the most. Like if that makes sense. Like some vendors have better, A cans. Some vendors have better high-end SPS. Some vendors have like better high-end LPS, or some vendors are great all-in-one kind of stores. So it's really
Yeah.
hard to give like a general recommendation, just because I like to, if I'm looking for a particular coral, I want to go to find the best place that I can find that particular coral.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I
It's
know what you
like,
mean. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, but I do like, yeah, I like getting most of my corals from shows though, because if you
Oh,
go on
really?
Sundays when they're packing up, they're not going to want to take every coral with them home. It's a
Okay.
pain.
So,
At
yeah, so
least
you get
that's
a
what I
deal.
go through with them. I'm like, look, do you really want to take all of this home? Do you really? That looks like a trek and a half. Let me help you. No, yeah, I'm just kidding. But you can make good deals on Sundays at these shows, which is
Okay.
probably my favorite place to get them from, because people are looking to bargain, just get rid of what they have left, and yeah, so coral shows are a good way to get nice stuff.
Interesting. Yeah, we need more of those. I think there was is it Reefapalooza? Yeah, there was a Reefapalooza. I like the idea of a Reefapalooza in Europe. I think because like people would travel for that. Like in the UK, maybe it's a little bit limited, but if there was one in a cool country like Holland or whatever, it'd be an excuse to go on a little road trip. Probably. Yeah.
Right. Oh, I would go. I would definitely go too. That would be
Indeed. Yeah.
fun.
Okay.
Yeah.
But so do you know what? So before the stream, I said I've been trying for a long time to keep these streams to an hour, and I failed miserably. But I'm going to make a conscious effort, and we're getting close to the hour mark now. So I'm going to wrap it up relatively soon. But was there anything else kind of you wanted to talk about? Any like?
I don't know. I don't know. I'm
Yeah. The other question on my list that I did want to ask you about were like the things that you enjoy most. So I talked about like the content you like you like doing on YouTube and the stuff you don't like doing. Are there things that you enjoy? What are the things you enjoy most about the hobby, and what are the things you enjoy least about the hobby?
The things I enjoy the most about the hobby in general, number one would be the community for sure. I've met some of my best friends ever from this hobby.
Really?
I just feel like when you go to these shows, especially, it's always the shows, you see everybody, everybody in this hobby comes from all walks of life, all over the world, different backgrounds, different everything. And the thing that's tying us together is this one, thing. And then we all come from all sides of the world to meet and hang out several times a year. And it's just such a cool thing, like of all ages, people of all ages. I mean, it's just, I love the fact that I can be friends with people I would have never probably encountered in my day-to-day life otherwise, and nicest people. So definitely the hobby, the one of the best things about the hobby is the community for sure.
For sure. Yeah.
I think another thing that I really love about the hobby is seeing new growth, and no, even more than that, seeing new growth and overcoming things that you get really frustrated on. Like, you know, when you have like this nuisance algae that is like really just getting to you, you know, and you're almost going to throw in the towel. Your whole tank is ugly. Like there's green hair algae everywhere. You think it's green hair algae. It's really bryopsis, but you didn't know this. So you start treating it differently and you just aren't getting it right. And it takes over your tank. I'm speaking from experience there with that one, but you just want to toss in the towel, but you keep going. You keep toughing through it, figuring it out, doing little by little, and then eventually you resolve the issue, see that through, and your tank looks great. That is the most rewarding feeling ever. So that's definitely another one. And just the fact that this hobby, you can never stop learning and never gets boring.
That's what I was going to say, because when you've got a problem and you overcome it, that happens all the time, and there's always something new. Even no matter how long you've been in the hobby, you're going to at some point you're going to come across something new that you've never seen before. You don't know how to beat it, and then you struggle. You try a few things, you do all your research, and you find other people who've dealt with it, and then eventually you get past it. And because it's so hard, and it's like it's I don't know, it gets you down sometimes if it's really bad. So when you get through that and it's you who's fixed it, you've done something to sort it. Yeah, totally. It's really satisfying. I'm with you.
Feel so accomplished.
Indeed, yeah.
You do.
And what about the worst things? The things, and this can be like lighthearted, like water changes, or like.
So I made a video about this.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and it's actually kind of a funny video. I love that video. But basically, the worst things about this hobby to me. Snail flipping would be a big one.
Okay, yeah.
Flipping snails is terrible. I don't understand why snails just jump from the top to the bottom like that constantly. I mean, I forever have carcasses all lining my sandbed. That's one thing. I cannot with those snails. That's definitely one of the worst things. I think another one would be like I said in my video, online experts, like the people who, not people who give you genuinely good advice, but people who think that they have the only correct way of doing things, and they kind of talk down everything else without giving things an equal thought. There's certain people like that online, especially on the forums.
But you know what? Those people are usually, especially on Facebook, it's usually people.
Facebook is the worst, yeah.
Yeah, who actually, they're not experienced and they don't know what they're talking about, but they've read something and they're like, no, mate, I'm sure this is right. So.
Oh, yeah. And then they'll like gang up on you when you have an innocent question, confuse you, lead you down the wrong path. That's another thing. And just like sometimes people feeling like superior because of the corals they keep or whatever. I wish the hobby was more kind sometimes in that respect, less cliquey.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
And what's another thing? There's plenty of things I don't like. I don't like when detritus gets stuck in your sump, you know? Cleaning out a sump is never fun.
Is your sump like pristine or is it filthy?
Oh, it's filthy.
Yeah.
Filthy. Absolutely. I've never had for very short periods of time. I really have to organize my stand. That's the big thing. I don't know.
You've just got like cables everywhere.
Everywhere. I don't understand.
Unless you do that at the start. Actually, do you know what? So there's a couple of comments I want to put up as well. So Matthew Elsden talking about snail graveyard, which is what you're talking about. And Sammy31D says, by trochus snails, they're better. They can flip themselves over. I have trochus snails and it's the same.
They do it. They do it. They all do it. It does not matter. Oh, that's the thing. It's like I do get ones that are known to flip themselves, but they just every time.
They're better. But even like the thing is, because like have you got wrasses? No. So my clowns and my wrasses, if a snail goes over, the clowns and the wrasses will like go and attack it. And it's not because they want to eat it. They want to mess with it.
They're just evil.
Yeah, exactly. Just nasty fish.
Poor snail.
Exactly, yeah. But so you've got your snail graveyard. Mm-hmm. You've got forum snobs.
Yes.
Anything else that's kind of the worst thing?
Aptasia, but I think that's like a standard. Aptasia is probably the worst. It's high up
Yeah.
there. Maybe not the worst, but it's high up there as like something very annoying, at least to me
Yeah.
right now. I
Yeah.
really
Have you got it in your main tank?
Mm-hmm. I feel like it's inevitable. Like I really do.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't think that unless you're like one of those crazy like 3 stages of quarantine microscope multiple frag plug removal people like who take joy out of this crazy quarantine process, you're always going to get aptasia somehow. Like you're always going to get it, I feel, you know. And I was so dead set on not getting it in this tank, and I still got it.
There are some people who don't get it. And there are a couple of comments I saw earlier, people who said they've never had it. I always think, yeah, really? Is that how long? You know, but there are some people who genuinely don't get it. But
it'll happen. It used to be like that with me, where I never had it, and then one day you do.
Yeah, and then it doesn't, and it never goes. But there's so in my main tank, I've got it, but I've got a couple banded butterfly. So in the main tank, there's none. But if you lift up the little weir box cover, it's like a forest of aptasia. where he can't get to it. But I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
I feel like it's a food source for him, and like it'll release spores, and sometimes he'll get a bit of munch. But and there's another question. So this guy's asked. I've seen this a few times. He's asked it a few times. So Archie, I'm gonna ask for you. So what do you think is the best beginner coral?
Green star polyps is what I first started on, and I think it's a really great coral to start with because it's beautiful. It's got a little bit of wave to it, which is what the beginners like, but it's also like it's such an easy coral to grow that it'll give you that confidence you need to kind of like get going. Because I know when I started, at least, the plunge to get the first coral is a bit scary. It's a bit like, oh no, you care so much, you don't want to you want to make sure you're ready for it. And green star polyps are a good one, and they're really hardy. You know, they look pretty. You know, on their little isolated rock. I like GSP. I started with GSP and zoas, but
oh really? Okay,
probably wouldn't recommend zoas as much as I was recommended because
a little bit more hit and miss. Yeah. There's one suggestion, which is Kenya tree, Capnella. Have you had Kenya tree?
Yes, I have, and they're really great.
I'm not so much of a fan of Kenya tree.
Really?
I didn't like it, and the great thing, so GSP I think is a wicked coral because it's got, like you've said, it's got the wavy movement, all that, and it's tough. But it glows under blue lights as well. So it looks awesome during the day when your lights are white, but also when you get blue lights, it's like it's the double whammy. So,
and that's what you want, you know. And then from there, I would start with like zoas, and then get some if those are doing well, you know, maybe get like another softie just to try it out, and then I would start dabbling in like easier LPS, like, you know, frog spawns and stuff like that. And then that's how you kind of just move on up and move on up and move on up. It's another thing I like about reefing. It's like almost like you're leveling up every time. You know, you get a bit better
all the time.
You know, it's cool. You can keep different things. It's like fun. That's why it keeps
exactly. Yeah, like the best part of anything is the journey, and it feels like the journey never ends with reefing.
Right. And that's that's why that's why I haven't gotten bored of it yet. I mean, it's just, you can't, because it's always changing. There's always new ways of doing this, you know, always new equipment coming out, new corals coming out, you know, new fish. It's just crazy. I love it. I love it so much.
Actually, there's another question. So I'll wrap up soon. But there's another question. When is Queen going to set up an Apex and show us how easy it is? You've got an Apex, have you?
I've had an Apex. Okay, I've had an Apex for like years.
Okay.
I've had an Apex since before I think I got this tank set up. I had an Apex. So,
but you've not used it.
I never set it up. I'm so intimidated by it for some reason. It's like the thought of setting it up is like, ooh, that seems like, we'll do that like next weekend. Next weekend. I'm just not used to having one. And I know once I set it up, I'm going to be like, this is stupid. This has changed my life. Why did I not set this up like years ago? But right now it's like I don't know what I'm missing out on, if that makes sense. So I'm kind of
yeah, for sure.
You know, we'll set it up. Like it'll be nice, but I don't really understand the necessity of doing it. But I will do it soon, and I will record it.
So that's what the other thing I was going to say is, like, anytime I buy something new piece of equipment, I feel like you can't just open it and set it up. I feel like I have to record it and think about, well, what footage do I need to get of this setting up and that sort of stuff. And that makes some stuff will sit around for ages. Are you the same before you set it up?
Same, and I think that's like partially why I took so long to set it up too, because I didn't know how to create the video. Like I didn't know how to like, how am I going to position this? What am I going to talk about? Because I hate tutorials. I hate teaching people things. So I don't want to teach people things. But then are people just going to watch me set this up and have difficulties? Is that going to be entertaining? Am I entertaining like that? And then I get in my head like this, and then I say next week. So
yeah, and
that's probably why not even being into the video aspect of it.
That's the same process that I go through as well. But with if you're I think setting stuff up and actually showing, going, oh no, I did that wrong, and oh god, this app, oh no, I've not connected to the right Wi-Fi or whatever. Those sorts of things are really useful, because it's when it's all like polished and it's clean and it's all edited, so there's no issues and it's all just done.
Right.
It's good to watch. But if you've got something that's showing problems, real world issues that everybody has, that's what everyone has issues with it, and I think that's more relatable. I don't know if it's like better for views or whatever, but I like those videos.
No, I'm inspired now. I guess it doesn't have to be instructional. It could just be me setting it up and going through it like that.
Exactly, and especially like you've never had it before. There'll be so many people who've never had it, and they'll be thinking the exact same thing as you. Like, I'm gonna have to program it. I'd have to get used to it. And
video length 8 hours.
Exactly. Yeah.
Oh gosh. No, I will. Now I'm inspired, and I will set this up as soon as possible.
There we go.
I definitely need that.
Yeah, we're there. So I'm calling that a promise. We have a promise that you're going to set it up. So
yes, pinky.
Okay, very good. All righty. Well, that is everything that kind of I wanted to talk about in particular, and we've cheated a little bit. It's an hour and a quarter, but we're almost there, so I feel good about that. Was there anything else? Any like kind of final? Any words of wisdom to finish? I'm putting you on the spotlight here.
Oh, words of wisdom. I'm bad at this.
Like I should have told you in advance, shouldn't I? Yeah, or anything, or life. Talk to your life words of wisdom.
Patience. That's my best advice that I've ever gotten for everything, especially in this hobby.
Are you patient? I'm terrible at that. No.
Nope. So that was a lesson I had to learn the hard way about this hobby. Yeah. But that was the person who kind of showed me the ropes of this hobby when I first started. Said that you will have success if you're patient. And sure enough, he was right. Patience is everything in this hobby. So just be patient and good things will come.
For sure. Well, that's good. Very wise words to finish on. So thank you for that. All righty. Well, look, thank you very much for joining. It's been an absolute pleasure having you on. It was really cool.
Thank you so much for having me on. This was fun. I loved it.
Excellent. You've been a wicked guest. It was great fun. And thank you, everybody, for watching. We'll finish it now, and I will see you all next week. Cheers, guys. Bye.